Good evening and happy anniversary day. This is Central News and I'm Hilary Entwistle. Heritage enthusiasts are being sought for a Waipa District Council committee which aims to promote, protect and enhance the district's natural, cultural, built, environmental and recreational heritage. The new Heritage Committee will replace two previous advisory bodies, the Heritage Council and the Biodiversity Council. Councillor Sue Milner will chair the committee, supported by Councillor Hazel Barnes. Up to 8 remaining members will be appointed from the community. The committee will administer and allocate Council's $70,000 Heritage Fund and make recommendations to Council on heritage issues. It will also approve applications for the Heritage and Biodiversity Awards, develop a strategic vision for heritage in the Waipa District, and provide comment on resource consent applications where appropriate. Resource consents for some building removal and redevelopment at Temple View have been granted. Submitters on the application are able to appeal the decision at 15 working days from notification of the decision to do so. If the decision is appealed, the matter will be subject to an Environment Court process. If the decision is not appealed, the applicant is able to go ahead with the project. The Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints applied to Hamilton City Council and Waipa District Council in September last year, and independent hearing commissioners Doug Arcus and Alan Watson granted the consent subject to conditions. Just ahead, could we see the end of RTDs? Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The new alcohol law makes it an offence to promote alcohol in a way that encourages binge drinking. So, what does that mean? Could this lead to a reduction in the sale of RTDs and members purposely targeted at a younger audience?
Whether it would result in a reduction, I'm not sure. It might result in less people going into a premise because they know they're going to get some that's reasonably or heavily discounted. I think the people who want to drink RTDs will be aware of it. They're going to go in and buy it anyway. But certainly the promotion side of the legislation is designed to not attract more people or to have something more attractive to the younger drinkers than it should be.
From a policing perspective, what do parents need to know under the new law?
Parents need to know lots of things, but generally it's the supply of alcohol to someone who is under 18. So if the parents themselves are going to supply to their children who are under 18, just do it responsibly, and they need to be sure that if their children are going to other friends' places, that they trust the people that they're going to be with, and again giving that express permission that yes, I'm happy for you to supply my child with alcohol as long as it's done responsibly.
So parents could effectively press charges against that person who supplied?
Without their permission, yes they can, yeah. And generally that's how we're going to find out about these things happening, is when something goes wrong. So Johnny goes to a friend's house and ends up getting absolutely intoxicated. The parents would generally complain to us first, and then we would make our inquiries from there. So yeah, parents can make the complaints.
And that would result in a fine?
It's a $2,000 fine, yeah.
Have parents always been able to press charges?
Oh, they certainly have, but the new legislation now gives us more power to then follow that up and actually hold people responsible if they have supplied alcohol to minors without the permission of the parents. So the legislation will be good in that respect, and just gives us a bit more teeth to deal with those sorts of situations.
Hamilton City Council has prepared a draft local alcohol policy with a view to guide licensing decisions within Hamilton City. Anne-Marie spoke with Hamilton City Councillor Angelo O'Leary to find out more.
The local alcohol policy can only relate to matters in the licensing. So what are the key principles of the policies?
So in our policy, we have two key principles only, and they both relate to off licences. So those are your liquor stores and supermarkets. The first principle is a reduction in hours. So over the city at the moment, we have some liquor stores opening at 7 a.m, some closing at 12 midnight. So we're looking to reduce those hours to 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And the second principle is we are restricting them to certain, so this is new licences, to certain business zones and commercial zones in the city. So at the moment we've got a proliferation of these stores all over Hamilton, and they're next to your neighbourhood dairies and quite close to schools and things like that. So we're restricting them from being able to do that in the future. So that's our two principles.
Why is the Hamilton City Council developing a local alcohol policy? Was there a need identified?
So it was. Waikato Hospital is the third busiest hospital in the country, and predominantly the emergency department, when they have cases and patients come in, that they are alcohol related. So along with that, and also we do have a proliferation of liquor stores in high deprivation areas in the city. We felt that there definitely was a need for a policy.
Now, alcohol, skate parks and children have all been in the headlines of late. Is a local alcohol policy going to help this situation? How can the community get involved?
So the community can get involved by submitting, and I think council, the problem is big. There's no policy that council could produce that replaces good parenting in situations like that, but we can help the community by reducing the number of alcohol stores and making it less available to kids to find where these stores are and to get people to purchase for them.
Okay, what happens now?
So what happens now, we're open for submissions till February the 11th. We really need people to jump online on the HCC website. It's really easy. You can sit there in your pyjamas, you can put in a submission, put in your thoughts and just press send. Very easy to do.
Make sure you have your say on the Hamilton City Council draft local alcohol policy before the 17th of February. Submissions can be made online at hamilton.co.nz/consultation. Coming up next, we look at how the Avanti drone is coming along. Welcome back. The Avanti Drome REV Cycle Festival will be held on Waikato roads on Saturday the 22nd of February. It's a chance for cyclists of all skills and abilities to experience New Zealand's greatest cycling terrain. Anne-Marie caught up with Kevin Andres to find out more.
Tell me about the Avanti Drome REV Cycle Festival. What is it?
Well, it's a festival of cycling. It's everything about road cycling. We design it to cater for families as well as people who are more experienced about cycling. So we have categories for kids to come and enjoy their bike, to learn some new bike skills. We have categories which allow people who are new to cycling to have a go. There's something that's sort of a mid-range ride, which is 55k, and so that's for people who like riding, who have got a bit of fitness in their legs but don't want to spend all day on the bike. We've got the challenging Rev 100, which is one of the most popular categories, and then we've got the elite race, which sees the best cyclists in the country competing for $1,000, $10,000 prize purse. So it's attracts some pretty good calibre riders. We're seeing a lot of people come from outer region come to the event, and that's grown since the event started in Hamilton. It's evolved into an event that really does have a reach across the Upper North Island.
How long has it been running? How's it evolved over the years?
So it began in 2006. So this will be our 9th edition on February the 22nd. So it's first started off in Hamilton, had a number of years based from Hamilton, but 3 years ago we moved it to the Cambridge headquarters. And it's so the main category of 100 used to be 120. But the elements that are most liked on course are still there. So we kept a lot of the same course, but just moved the base. So we still take in some of the iconic spots around the Waikato. French Pass is one of those. Love or hate it, it's there, and people love that challenge of trying to climb their way over French Pass. And Scotsman's Valley is another area which is iconic and neat.
There's an opportunity for cyclists to compete both as individuals and also in a team. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's within a category called the Rev 100. The Rev 100 is where we see a lot of the bulk of the riders. They come from, like I said, they come from outer region, they come from Waikato, Auckland, Bay of Plenty, Taranaki, etc. So within that, there's a group of riders that like to challenge and ride as a group. So we've set this team up challenge, and that's you get together four of your colleagues, and you have to ride together. You have to all get around the course together, and it's the combined time of the top four of your four riders combined, and that's the best time is the winner. And so we're seeing some pretty good calibre riders partake in that, and there's a neat trophy, coveted trophy that they take away for their efforts.
Entries are now open for the Avanti Dome REV Cycle Festival. For further information or to enter online, go to therev.co.nz. The 88th National Yearling Sale Series continues this week at Karaka with some standout yearlings for sale. Anne-Marie spoke with Tim Ryan earlier in the week to find out more about buying a horse at these iconic sales.
There's a lot of work that goes on before the actual sales, isn't there? How do the owners, buyers and trainers prepare?
Well, from probably mid-December, at least mid-December, the prospective buyers are out there looking at all the yearlings. So most of the good judges, they'll be out and they'll look at just about every horse in the catalogue. So they're doing a lot of legwork. But on the other hand, the stud, preparing the horses for sale, they've probably got a 3-month program where they're getting them ready to look their absolute best on sale day.
What do people need to know when they're buying a horse? What should they be looking for?
Well, first of all, I'd say they should be looking for some good advice. If they're coming off the street to buy a horse, they want to be talking with someone who's done the research and knows the game. It takes years to build up knowledge of conformation, pedigrees, what a horse by a certain stallion out of a certain mare should look like, because families tend to throw the same characteristics through generation after generation, so they need to get some good advice, basically.
Is it common for horses to be owned in a group or syndicate? How does that work?
Yeah, it's becoming more prevalent, really. It works. There's registered syndicators. To syndicate and advertise yourself as a syndicator, you've got to be registered. So, it takes any of the jiggery-pokery out of it, I suppose. It works. There's all sorts of syndicates. Like, a lot of them are 10-person syndicates where there's 10 equal shares. They'll be managed by the syndicator or a trainer or someone, like that, and they'll put the syndicate together. So, you can find things like these. They'll be in a register somewhere, those sort of people, so they need to refer to them.
And I guess being in a syndicate allows you to potentially purchase a more expensive horse and maybe increase your chances of winning?
Yeah, definitely. Like, say, if you buy an 80,000 horse, 10% share, $8,000. So, instead of having all your eggs in one basket, you can spread the risk a bit.
Where should somebody start who's thinking about purchasing a horse? What resources are available?
Well, there's all sorts of publications, like the one Equine World that we've been involved with. That will refer to people who syndicate or trainers who want to put a syndicate together, and so all sorts of publications they can go to find that information out.
Coming up next, how the Ring Road is progressing. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Work on the Hamilton Ring Road network section between River Road and Resolution Drive is expected to be completed by late January. Tal Lawrence spoke with Anne-Marie regarding this 550-metre section of roadworks.
This section of road seems to be a little bit trickier with the sewer overbridge requiring support. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I can. This section of Wairee Drive is a lot trickier for us due to the sewer overbridge, which crosses across the top of our construction site. Effectively, this pipe is draining most of the sewer from the Hamilton Eastern area, so we can't really just turn it off. Working around it has been quite tricky for us, and we're gaining a lot of the extra width for the 4 lanes by removing the central pier which supports it, which is currently in the middle of the road. What we're doing is we're constructing 2 new piers on the outside of the new road, and then looking to switch the weight of the bridge over onto those new piers. We've just about finished the foundations for the new piers, which are about 13 metres deep concrete piles, so that's a pretty significant part which we've just about finished. It's been quite challenging for us because the contractors had to work really carefully in manoeuvring their drilling and piling equipment around the bridge so as not to damage it. We do have contingency plans in place if we do damage the pipe, but we've got a great crew and we think that's not going to be required.
Now, there's also a retaining wall and stormwater trenches that are being built as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this section is quite intense in terms of building structures. You have to remember that this section of road is through a historic gully. So when we're widening the road from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, we're cutting into the banks of that historic gully. So by building the retaining walls, it helps prevents the bank from collapsing in on the road once it's finished. So they are a major component. What we're doing at the same time as the road closure is also installing the new stormwater drainage, which drains both the new pavement and also the existing stormwater in the ground.
It's not just as simple as slapping down some tar seal, is it?
No, it's not. That's the easy part at the end. All the hard work's where you don't see it underground.
What are the other challenges facing the contractors working on this section of road?
Well, as I mentioned, we are working in an old gully, and so that comes with stormwater. It's an old creek, so effectively there's a lot of groundwater. That makes it quite tricky. So as the contractors, digging holes, they're very quickly filling back up with water. So that does make simple tasks take a lot longer. It's probably one of the key challenges on this is the ground conditions.
You'll be putting in drainage as you go?
We are installing a lot of the drainage early in the project, so with an aim of getting the water out of the job before we actually have to start too much excavation.
If you live in Tauranga, you may have seen some pretty artworks on the street, but not your usual ones, because they're on pianos. What is the piano project?
The piano project was our first project that we began at the incubator, a collaborative project to try and entice artists to come and work with us on these pianos, which have just been unused pieces of furniture in people's homes. So we wanted to turn them into something beautiful and a little bit out of the ordinary. Good way to get people together doing things and being creative.
How did the idea come about?
Creative Tauranga put on a seminar and they brought Peter Kajiyama over from the States, and it was a great seminar about involving the public in art and creativity. And the piano project was a competition that someone won. A lovely girl from the States called Madison came up with the idea, and then we were asked to carry out the project. It started with one piano, but it's kind of evolved into quite a few now. We just keep going.
So how many pianos are there now, and where will you guys be placing them?
So far we have nearly six completed pianos. There are 3 in downtown Tauranga. There's one outside of Creative Tauranga, one outside of a little mall there, and there's one which goes out on the Strand. We've also had one go to Katikati, and there's one that lives here. This one is going to Pilot Bay when it's finished to go in some twilight concerts on the boardwalk there. We have one left that's going to be steampunked sometime this year, so that's going to be an exciting project.
What is steampunk?
Steampunk is a sort of a science fiction genre where people sort of get crazy about the old steam power. It's kind of like the future if it was steam power. So a lot of old pumps and dials and things like that, cogs and wheels and old pieces of clocks and things. So.
And can you tell us about the Day of the Dead piano?
That's been a really popular piano, that one, because the Day of the Dead is quite trendy at the moment with all the skulls and things like that. It's a celebration in Mexico where they celebrate the dead once a year and have big festivals through the town. So it's not really supposed to be macabre, it's supposed to be really happy and exciting. And that one's been really great. It's been down on the Strand and it's had a lot of attention. It's nice and bright and vibrant and really attracts children to play it because of its colours, and it's also has a guitar attached as well, so it's great to see someone on the keyboard and someone on the guitar playing it too. So, yeah.
How have you sourced the pianos?
Mostly they came from Tauranga. One came from Hamilton, up and over the hill, and we generally had them donated, but there were a few bought via Trade Me for a nominal price. It seems that a lot of people want to get rid of their unused and unloved pianos and have them brought to us to be revitalised and given a second chance at life. So it's been a fun process even just getting them here. As you can imagine, moving pianos is quite hard work.
What are you hoping people will do with pianos once they're out on the streets?
When they're in the streets, we're really hoping that the space will become activated. There'll be life brought music into the streets. People will come and play. I saw the one that was Jackson Pollock down in the middle of town in Tauranga, and there were just a whole bunch of kids standing around for hours playing them. And it seemed that, you know, there's so many people out there that play by ear or actually can read music or just know how to play, and they just sit there and tinker away. And these kids that were standing around them, there's some real talent, you know. And I just thought, well, they obviously didn't get an opportunity to play pianos at home, and here they were, just all sort of in the streets playing. It was really great. So yeah, we just want to see the pianos given a new lease on life and taken out into the world and you know, share the love, share the joy and the and you know, the art. The collaborative art thing, it doesn't stop once the pianos leave here and they've been painted. That collaboration, you know, carries on into the street where people play them and yeah, it's great.
How many people have been involved?
There's been a huge amount of people actually. Each piano has probably taken at least 5 or 6 people that have had various sort of input into them. Some pianos have been, one piano in particular was only about 3 or 4. That was our crochet piano. That was yeah, that was not so many. It's a very specialist kind of, you know, it's easy enough to pick up a paintbrush, and some of the other piano, the Day of the Dead piano had, you know, welding work done on it and things like that. So there are some specialist stuff. Mostly it's just been paint thrown at them, and anyone that kind of walks in the studio or into the incubator, we sort of, you know, pick up a brush and have a go, you know. But yeah, there's been many artists. In total, probably between 34, 36 artists in general on all the different pianos that we've done so far. So yes, and who knows, there's more to come.
That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved. So like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.